back. Episode 16, y'all. We got some stuff to talk about, especially when it comes to navigating the seller's market. And we got some tips for selling on the south side. We're down here, we might get a little dirty every once in a while, but we know how to clean up and make your home look good for that seller's market, y'all.
That's right.
I'm
That's
telling you
right.
right now. So I'm going to let Payton really take off here at the beginning and kind of explain what is a seller's market, because we hear that term, but let's be real with it. What is a seller's market?
Yeah. So great question. I'm glad you asked. So a seller's market essentially is just when the housing demand is exceeding the supply. So a lot of times this is going to end up being a much harder market in general for buyers because you have
Mm-hmm.
more buyers than you have housing options.
Okay.
This is very much what we lived through 2020 and 2021, where you've got
Lots
50
of
people
offers.
competing for the same house.
Out of
So
cars sitting outside of a house waiting for the open
yeah,
house.
yeah,
Yeah.
all the
I
craziness.
remember. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely
It was
insane.
nuts.
Yep. But, it's not anything like that again now. But what we still experience today is that we're still seeing multiple offers when
Mm-hmm.
things are priced right or marketed correctly. We're still seeing those
Yes.
opportunities. And ultimately what I see on the daily is agents reaching out to other agents or even people getting on Facebook and asking, hi, hey, we've got a realtor already, but just
Oh
does anybody
yes.
know of anything
Oh
that's
my
coming on the
gosh.
market? Because we've
Yes.
seen everything and we really still need a house because
Mm-hmm.
either what's on the market, it's just not what buyers are looking for,
Yep.
or there's just not enough options. So
Those are
ultimately,
always my favorite to see on those big public group pages where they're
yep,
like, "We already have." The first line is, "We already have an
we already
agent."
have a
Next thing
realtor.
you know, you
A
see
realtor.
500 comments of, "If your agent's not doing their job, call
Yep.
me."
Yeah.
Like,
So much self
okay,
promotion.
let's break
Yes.
all ethics rules here, people. Like, let's just go ahead and
Right.
throw the ethics book right on out of this mother trucker
That's
and
right.
be
Yeah,
good.
because they
So,
legit just told you that they had an agent, but it's fine.
uh,
But at this point, people in a lot of points of sellers markets, people get desperate because
yeah,
there's just not enough to go around.
yeah,
So that's really the definition of what that looks like. But navigating it is a completely different
yes,
beast because when you're talking about all of the different things as far as inventory is concerned, then you're talking about price points and are we effectively
mm,
marketing things and are we staging things correctly so that it
yep,
looks great in pictures, are we doing video marketing, are we there's just all these different things
mm-hmm,
that come into play when you're talking about navigating a seller's market. And so the high demand aspect, especially for us here, because we have so many different businesses and hubs for businesses here,
mm-hmm.
as far as, we have Delta, we have Chick-fil-A, we have Home Depot, we have the
The
movie
movie
industry.
industry.
Yeah, like these are all
Yep.
heavy hitters that
And it's
end
a
up causing
constant turn
constant
too.
rotation. Yep. So there's always a need for somebody's relocating,
Mhm.
somebody's getting moved here, somebody has a need to be here. And
And the
that's a
fact that
whole
we're about to
other issue.
have the entirety of the freaking soccer
Soccer.
organization here too, so, like,
Yeah. We're
it's about
also
to be
about to have the largest data center in the world
right
right
almost
here.
next to each other.
Yes,
So,
literally right next to each other. So
oh, it's gonna
it
be
it's
wild.
it's not going to get better. I won't say
No,
that. But
no.
it's definitely, the more that we talk about this and the more it
Mhm.
becomes more educational in nature and not just,
Yes.
I don't know what that means and I just need a house and I just, the panic
Yep.
aspect of it, that's when the game changes a little bit,
Bingo.
because this whole thing is all about education, right? And understanding what's going on in the market behind the scenes makes a huge difference in the experience that you have either on the buy or the sell side. And the market conditions ultimately are going to affect financing for buyers too,
Mhm.
because we're paying attention to rates, lock prices,
Mhm.
how much is it going to cost you to maybe buy down the rate that you have? How demanding is the market right now? Can I even negotiate if I can get any type of seller's concessions to be able to use that towards
Yep.
things that need to be fixed in the house or a rate buy down or all those things like that? Those are all things that are impacted by where the market sits
Mhm.
currently. So a couple of years ago, not only were you not asking for seller's concessions, you were paying 50 or 60 plus $1,000
Yes.
over what they were asking for the house. So you weren't, you were like, it's falling down. Great. Here's an extra $100,000. I just want it.
And
Versus
the
now,
appraiser, the
right.
poor appraiser comes in and goes, "It's only worth this. I don't care. I want
Right.
the
I
house."
don't care. Yeah, everybody's waiving all the appraisals and it's
Wild
absolutely
times.
nuts. Versus now where, depending on the price point, you may or may not have the ability to negotiate
Mm-mm.
on price or negotiate on
No.
concessions or negotiate on terms. And so there's a lot of different things that ebb and flow with how the market,
Mm-hmm.
because it's never this, it's always
No.
this. So it
Always.
it's always changing. Every day is different. So
And
making
let's
sure that
also
you're working with
point
someone who
out
knows is vital.
exactly. Let's point this out. If you're getting your real estate news from CNN, you've missed the bucket already. Like
Yep.
you got to talk to local experts
Yep.
because yes, the national norm is what's going to look like this.
Yeah.
But what's happening on the national level is not what's happening in Fayette County, Coweta
No.
County, Henry County, Pike
Shoot,
County.
what's
It's
even
not.
happening? Yeah. What's happening? Like when the Georgia or news outlets in Georgia want to speak out
Yeah.
on what's happening with real estate in Georgia.
Yep.
That's likely not something that should apply to your specific town, because
Exactly.
I'll tell you right now, where I live right now, and even the town over in the same county, it's a different world. So,
Totally
and
different.
it's a completely different beast, and
Everything.
that makes it very difficult too when you're talking about using agents that aren't necessarily from this
Mm-hmm.
area. Shoot, people are like, oh, they get in these groups, hey, I've got a client that needs to relocate to the Atlanta area, who's your Atlanta agents? If I get tagged in one more of those, because let me ask you right now,
Yep.
where in Atlanta? Because
Exactly.
if your people are out here looking to live in Gwinnett,
Yep.
that ain't me. But if they
Nope.
want to be on the south side of Atlanta, I will help them all day long. But a lot of people want to look on a map and they're like, Atlanta's not that big. And I'm like, the fact that it would take me 2.5 hours on a good day to get to the other side of Atlanta,
And that's only
no.
10 miles, folks. It ain't
Right.
long.
Right. We're
Look,
not
and
talking about like a
that's in
cross
the
country trip.
car. That's not taking MARTA. That's not walking it. That's
No.
in your car
Mm-mm.
sitting on 75, 85. You stuck.
That's right. You're stuck. That's
We are
right.
base crack.
That's that's right. It's so true. But it's just that to me, it's the west side of Atlanta is different than the south side of Atlanta. The south
Yep.
side is different than the north side. It's just a different world. And the expectations, the market, the actual
Yep.
inventory is different. All of it is different. So being hyper local and paying attention to what is hyper local to where you live or where you're wanting to live is
Mm-hmm.
your ultimate best bet, because national news, statewide news typically does not apply.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. And what's fun too, a couple years ago, I could see there was a trend. Yes, there was a seller's market, but it was a trend. It was houses in the $500,000 to $700,000 range. I was doing probably 10 or 15 of those a week. And then it stopped there. The following year, it was these 800 to $1.5 million houses. And
Mm-hmm.
now it's back down to what I call my bread and butters, which is the three to 500s. Like
Yep.
those are like going like wildfire. So
Yep.
it may be a seller's market, but it depends on what price points too. So like that's
Yes.
another huge factor. Like
Yes.
your friend at church or wherever, maybe saying like, "Hey, what do you think about the market?" Like I get this question a lot. I'm like, "I don't know. I just take pictures." And so I always tell them, I always caveat, you have to remember, I work with over 150 agents. It will
Mm-hmm.
look like it's always a seller's market if you're only following me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like where you're getting your news or your Facebook news, like let's be real, that's what people are calling the news now is social media
Mm-hmm.
news.
Mm-hmm.
Like it depends on who you're following. Like if I'm following, if I'm following Peyton Peoples and Megan and Christian, like I have a different perspective over what it looks like if I'm just following Tyler. Because if I'm following
Right.
Tyler, hell, the whole world's selling houses. Ain't nobody about to live nowhere. But that's because it just depends on, on what you're looking at. Like
It's
people,
so true.
I think people forget that. Like I can also make a mound of crap look like $1 million house. So
Also true.
it just
Also true.
it just
Yes.
depends on what you're looking at. So it's like
Mhm.
it just depends on who you're getting your information from. It needs to be a local expert, and it also needs to be like a reputable source. So if you are listening and like, God forbid, if you're following a national level of all this, it's good to know what's happening across the nation in terms of real estate. Yes, it's
Yeah.
good, but you need to be plugged into other local markets too.
Yes.
So, but
And
what I want
ultimately,
to
at the end of the, yeah, go ahead. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I was just going to say, I want to get down to like what is like a realistic expectation if it's in a seller's market. So like I come to you, I want to sell my house. What is it going to look
Mhm.
like versus if I come to you as a buyer in a seller's market? Like what does that
Mhm.
look like? Because that's two totally different scenarios in the same
It is.
market.
It is. Yeah. And it's two totally different marketing plans,
Mm-hmm.
strategic plans, all the things. It's very very different worlds. So, put my buyer agent hat on, and in this market my first question is always, have you spoken with a lender? If they have not spoken with a lender, or they've only spoken with their bank that's a
Mm-hmm.
national huge bank, or their credit union that's a national huge credit union, then my next follow-up is going to be, okay, love that, let's also get you pre-approved and get it checked out with a local lender
Mm-hmm.
like Megan and Christian, because they have different programs and things that other people don't. They're also here. And
Yes.
that can make a huge difference in a seller's market when we submit an offer, to be able to present to the seller that their financing is being handled by someone who has an office here in town versus
Yes.
somebody who is in Denver, Colorado. Not to
Way
throw
out
them, I
there.
don't know why
Way
I
out
chose them,
there.
but way, way far away, that's not even the same time zone as us and
Yep.
is not going to be doing business at the same time as us and has no ties to the local community to have any
Zero.
type of, you can't force them or push them
Nope.
or be like, hey, like we've really, like we gotta close like on this day, like you gotta come on, I need
Yep.
you to come to work today, like versus those are things you can do with local lenders. They
Mm-hmm.
can be more apt to help you and push the envelope and do things. So my first question with buyers is always going to be, where are we with financing? Once
Yes.
we've moved through that, then it's okay, let's make our want and need list, and let's
Mm-hmm.
have the conversation of why those two things are different, because
Yes.
your wants and your needs
Ooh.
coexist a lot of the time. And I'll get this like 20-page list of, well, I need this and I need that and I need this and I need
Yep.
that, and then we have to have the conversation of, needing is a roof, wanting is a pool. Okay.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. Oh
So we
my
have the
gosh.
conversation of like figuring out what is actually a need and what is actually a want, and what does that realistically look like, because their need
Yep.
slash want list might be the equivalent of what $1 million property is here, and they were approved for $450,000. So then we're going to take their new and improved need list and
And go,
make
this is
that
the real
realistic.
experience.
I'm literally going to
Oh.
break it down to bare bones here, people, and be
Yep.
like, this is where we're at. And if
Yes.
you want all of these other things, and those things really are a necessity for you, then let's go back to the drawing board and talk to the lender about how
Mm-hmm.
we can increase your budget. Because maybe it's that you need to pay off more debt. Maybe it's that, you make the money, it's just your DTI isn't working out right.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's you don't make enough money, but if you did add X amount of dollars to your portfolio, then
Mm-hmm.
you had the option. So maybe that means that we reevaluate this in 2 years after you figure out how to make that
The
gap in
extra.
your
Yep.
income go up, and then you can go get your dream home.
Yep.
But those are the conversations that we're having on the front end versus, put my listing agent hat on, that when I'm having that conversation with the seller, it's more about love that you've been online, and I love that you have an idea of what your house is worth, but we're going to
Uh-huh.
walk your house together, and I'm going to start either adding or deducting things to kind of a baseline price based on the comps
Yep.
around your area. but I'm going to walk it in person with you. And we're going to
Mhm.
look at all the things that you have either done or not
Yep.
done and neglected to do because you just are ready to sell it and be done.
Exactly.
Because all of those choices ultimately equate to a number.
Mhm.
So that's either adding to your bottom line or taking away from your bottom line. So
Bingo.
we're going to figure out all of those numbers and then we're going to put together what the plan looks like. Are we going to move quick? Are we
Yes.
moving slow? Do we have more, projects that need more attention? Because maybe if you took an extra couple weeks, called my paint guy,
Mhm.
had him come over and repaint this from lime green to gray, that we could add 10 grand onto the list price of the
Mhm.
house because it changes the entire way the house is portrayed to a buyer.
Exactly.
So those are the conversations that you're having with the listing. And
Mhm.
then it's more of the implementation of once we've all come to an agreement of what we're doing, when we're
Mhm.
doing it, and how much we're doing it for, then then I'm making the phone calls to bring you
Yes.
in and, if a stager needs to come in, any of those things so
Mhm.
that we can button up all the marketing materials before we
I
throw
love
it
it.
out into the public.
And let's be real, the seller does get to have a ton of influence what the price of the home is.
Yep.
But if you overshoot and you go, "Hey, I understand that you're telling me my comp's here, but I want a list for like 50,000 more." It's going to be one of those situations where it sits on the market and it's like the
Yep.
meme goes around. If it's sitting on the market for a while, something's wrong. Even though
Something's
there's
wrong.
nothing wrong, it's the perception that something is wrong.
Right. Right.
So you have to have that sweet spot of like, yes, I want to get this for it, but my agent says I can get this for it. Maybe you can
Hmm.
push, maybe you can push their number up by just a smidge and be like, hey,
Just
let's
a little
start
bit.
here, maybe like a
Hmm.
thousand, 10,000, depending on the size of the home, and
Right.
then start there. And that right there, that one little piece of you giving over and going, okay, I'm not going to make an extra $100,000, son of a gun. I don't like. I've got to do some
Hmm.
real work here. Like
Hmm.
those little moments are what's going to help make your house more appealing to a potential buyer.
Right.
So,
Absolutely. Or even just get them in the door at all.
yeah.
Because if you woke up that day and decided that nope, my I don't care that my agent said that my house was worth 400,000. I want to list it for 475.
Mhm.
Well, all the people who are realistically approved up to 400 and could see your house
Aren't.
now aren't going to go see it, or
They're
even it's
gone.
going to get filtered out of their search completely
Yep.
because almost everybody is immediately searching by price. They know what their price point is. And so
Yes.
anything outside of that isn't even getting seen.
Nope.
So they're not even taking your home into consideration. And
Mm-mm.
then you're missing out on all these people. And then what happens when a month goes by and then you decide, oh, maybe I should have listened to Payton and I should have only
Yep.
listed it for 400, and we do a price reduction, but now all those people may have found something else and
Exactly.
they've already moved on and you've lost all those
Weeks.
potential buyers. So,
And
and
let's talk
time
about
and everything else.
my favorite thing to see whenever a new listing pops up. It'll have like some crazy number. Like I'm just gonna make one up so the person doesn't know who I'm talking about. But it'll be like 618,321. It's
Hmm.
like some weird number. Yes, there's probably some strategy there, but they was probably like, I don't know at this point. I'm gonna throw a dart and go, that's our number. Like,
Yep.
like
Hmm.
those are the kind of moments where you go, they're just trying to test the waters versus like this is
Yeah.
a solid price of what we really talked about. We've looked at the market. This is what we truly think versus we're just gonna throw a random number and see if it sticks.
Well, there's a lot of agents that really, because here's a little insider tip. In real estate school, you don't learn anything about how to be a real estate agent. Okay.
But you gonna feed her in a damn acre.
I'm gonna know how to calculate acreage. I know that's for sure.
That's always my funniest meme that I see
That
in
is
these
so.
agent groups are like, I know
Mhm.
what this is, but I don't know how to sell a house.
That's right. So people who just came out and just fresh out of real estate school,
Bliss.
they have not been told how to. They haven't been taught how to open a Supra, which is our lock boxes. They don't know how to write a contract. They don't know how to e-sign anything. They don't know, you know, the basics of what we have to do
Yep.
are things that have to additionally be taught to new agents because Real estate
which is
agents aren't taught
sad.
this stuff in school. Right. It
Mm,
truly is. Like, you learn all of these things that literally help you in no shape, way, or form to be an effective
yeah.
agent for your clients.
Mm,
So you spend a lot of time when you're newly licensed learning these things and
mhm.
practicing these things and honing those skills and doing all of that. But I'm going to have to edit this out. Where was I going with this? What were we talking about before this?
Realistic expectations. I was like, where we're
Oh,
going.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. So a lot of agents don't know how to adequately do a market analysis. So maybe they're really good and understand how to pull comps,
Mhm.
which is comparing your house to other homes like it in a generalized area
Mhm.
to kind of get a good idea for pricing. But what a lot of agents don't do or are not good at all is pulling the data on what the days on market look like in that price point and how that changes in different brackets.
Yes.
So maybe we do hit that 475 even though I've told you it's 400. Well, in 475 the days on market are twice
Yep.
what this other one is. So is that a risk you're willing to take, or would you rather just go with what I'm offering because the days on market are much less? And those are statistics and things that a lot of agents don't know how to
Mhm.
pull, don't know how to access, and are not providing to their clients, which is scary.
And they don't know how to explain it to their client because they don't
No,
understand it to begin
because
with.
they don't know. They don't know. So, plug
Ah,
for find a really good brokerage that has a really good training program. Hi, you can
bingo.
come and work with me at Keller Williams in Peachtree City. But it's because it's literally like if you don't find a really good brokerage that's willing to work with you and
Yep.
help teach you these things, it's going to be a long, hard road, friend.
A hard one. And I want to send you a meme because I found one that was really funny.
Oh,
It
I
it broke
love a meme.
it broke down like all the different brokerages and like
Oh,
they're
God.
like catchphrase. I'm not
Yes.
gonna say anything on here because I don't want to make
Okay.
anybody mad, but I'm gonna
I
send it to
know, but
you.
I can't wait.
But I'm gonna be really honest, and I love you all so much.
Hmm.
If you are a new agent and you go try to join one of these, you keep all your commission, you are never going to know what the hell you're doing because
Mm-mm.
they don't have the training. They don't
Nope.
offer it. That's the reason why they
Nope.
don't offer it is because they don't take commission for it. Like
Hmm.
there's reasons why those places are there. They're great
Yep.
for they're great for once you understand what you're doing in life and that's what
Yeah.
you want to go toward. They're great for
Yep.
that. But if you're
Yep.
brand new and you try to join,
This ain't that.
good luck because YouTube will be your friend.
Honestly, like it is a long, hard, lonely road trying to figure out how the very basics of how to do this job well,
Yeah.
because you truly don't. You are not equipped in any
Mm-mm.
shape, way, or form. And even if
Mm-mm.
you have gotten lucky and maybe you've just had a lot of people in your sphere
Mhm.
and your close family and friends who have trusted you to be able to get you through a handful of transactions,
Oof.
you might know how to write contracts, but
Yep.
like, do you really know how to negotiate well or pull this information to have these
Mm-mm.
tough conversations with sellers to be able to really get them the best deal
Absolutely
for what
not.
they need? Like, these are all things that you have to pay attention to, and
Yeah.
people don't understand are a vital part of the process. So,
No. And I'm gonna take it back to a quick story too. So I was in education before I left and went full time into this.
mhm,
Teaching is the exact same thing. You go to school, you learn how to become a teacher,
mhm,
you're thrown into a classroom and they've never taught you how to deal with the management. It's the same side of it as dealing with the contracts in real estate. In my head, you have to have real world experience and you have to have a mentor to really
yeah,
teach you how to be a great teacher.
right.
Otherwise, you've got about a year to 3 years in the profession before you are burnt out because you have
Yep,
no clue what you're doing because you're just surviving.
right.
And if that's what you're doing in real estate, you've got to find a mentor. And
Yes.
I'm about 99% sure Payton will take you to coffee and help you. Like
Yeah.
she's gonna
Oh,
do
yeah.
what she can
Yeah.
because ultimately you are going to be somebody in the market that Payton is eventually going to work with on the
Right.
other side. And if you
Yep.
don't know what you're about to do, Payton's going to take you to town, and those poor other clients, they're either going to be
Yeah.
like, man, we just got beat up and now we're paying 50 extra more
Right.
thousand. Like
Right.
Payton's
Right.
going to take you to town if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like look at it
That's so
look at it
true.
as yes, in like in a world of business, yes, Peyton is a piece of competition, but she's also a source of information, and she's a
Mhm.
pretty damn good friend. So like the
Thanks.
being a competitor is the last thing on Peyton's
The
mind.
last one.
It's
Yep.
everything else, because at the end of the day, you have a relationship with the buyer that you're working with or the seller that you're working with, and Peyton wants to make sure that they have a place to live. You got a place to live. She got a place to
Yep.
live. Like it's
Yep.
all there to make sure that
I want
everybody at
us
the end of the
all
day
to win.
win.
Yeah.
That's what we
I
gotta
want
do. We gotta
all of us to
win.
win because the worst as a listing agent or even as a buyer's agent, honestly, it works on either side because when you're the buyer's agent and you're in MLS and you're looking at all the
Hmm.
information for the house that you're going to take your buyer to go see, it tells you who the listing agent is. It gives you all of their information.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you right now that there are a large group of people that don't have good reputations with
Hmm.
the local community. And when you literally have to like give yourself a moment
Yep.
to
Yep.
get in a good headspace to even be ready to show the property because it's going to be an uphill battle
Yep.
the second you even start this process. Nothing about this is going to be easy. And
Uh,
I already know that I'm going to have to do 5 times the amount of work to get to the closing table.
yes.
But
Yes.
the flip side of that is also true that I can see information of people who are wonderful, fantastic.
Hmm.
I would work with them 5 million times over because I know they have the same win-win strategy that I do and
Bingo.
all we want is success for everyone and
Hmm.
we're going to be able to work together easily, we're going to be able to communicate easily, and we all are going to celebrate together at the closing table on time because we all respect each other's businesses.
Time and
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. So, it's either side of the coin. Like, it's my goal. It doesn't matter what
Yep.
brokerage you go to. If you have questions, please ask because
Hmm.
I would rather see you win regardless of the affiliation that you hold and do it well and do it right and it feel good so that you know that you can take something that you learned and
Hmm.
apply that to the next deal that you're working and it
Yes.
not just constantly feel like you're spinning your wheels or somebody threw you into the deep end and you don't
Hmm.
swim and you don't have on floaties. Like that's what a lot of this can feel like.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
but the mentor thing is a huge deal. So, yes,
Because
please.
and again, because eventually you're gonna probably come up against Peyton again and go,
Right.
"Ugh." Like if you go ahead in the beginning and have a great relationship, it's gonna
Yeah.
just do nothing but make it easier long term.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Absolutely. 100%. Yep.
but
So,
mm,
navigating all of this is
it's tough
fun. It's fun and tough and it's a different experience every single day. Everything is different every
every
single
time.
day. No two transactions are the same ever. So it's a
Mm-mm.
learning experience every single day. We are
It's the
learning something
same.
new every day.
Peyton's learning something every day. Christian's learning something every day. Megan's learning
Mhm.
every day. I'm learning something every day. And the reason
Yeah,
why is because we're listening to the Home Tour podcast.
that's
So,
right.
transitioning out, guys, stay tuned. We got lots of more stuff coming up, especially now that we're about to get into the summer months, y'all. Like, oh man, we might even have one poolside. You just never know what's going to happen on the
You
Home
never
Tour.
know.
Because
You
guess
never
what?
know.
We got no contingencies around here, people. We
That's
off
right.
the cuff. It doesn't matter. We're gonna talk about it all. That's what we do
Yep.
around here.
That's
But
how we
for
roll.
now, Peyton's got to go. I got a photo shoot to get to. So peace out.
We're out.
Holla!
Bye.